The vast emptiness of space stretched before the survey vessel Pathfinder as it slowly moved through the unexplored asteroid field. Captain Jack Reed stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of the main screen. The year was 2350, 75 years since humans had first made contact with alien life, and humans were still treated like children by the Galactic Coalition. Another routine mapping mission, Jack muttered, rubbing his tired eyes. At 53, he had spent most of his life hoping to make a real discovery, something that would prove humans deserved respect among the stars. Behind him, the Coalition observer Traz clicked his mandibles in annoyance. The tall, insect-like alien had been assigned to the Pathfinder to make sure humans didn't break any rules. The Varn, Traz's species, were the most powerful race in the Coalition, and never let humans forget it. "Your sector sweep is taking longer than scheduled, Captain Reed," Traz said. "The Coalition expects efficiency." Jack forced a smile. "Just being thorough. Isn't that what the protocols demand?" Before Traz could answer, the science station beeped loudly. Science Officer Emma Davis, a young woman with short black hair and quick eyes, looked up from her console. "Captain, I'm picking up an unusual energy signature. It's faint, but I've never seen anything like it." Jack moved to her station, ignoring Traz's hiss of impatience. "Show me." Emma pointed to the reading on her screen. "It's coming from that large asteroid, about 2 kilometers across. The energy pattern doesn't match anything in our database. Probably just common radiation," Traz said, waving a clawed hand dismissively. "We should continue with our assigned route." Jack studied the readings. After 20 years of space exploration, he had developed good instincts. "No, this is different. Helm, take us closer to that asteroid." "Emma, continue scans." The Pathfinder changed course, moving carefully through the debris field toward the large asteroid. As they got closer, Engineer Sam Miller joined them on the bridge, his normally calm face showing excitement. "Captain, the energy readings are getting stronger, and there's something else." Sam pointed to a new set of data. "The asteroid's density is all wrong. It's not just rock." Emma gasped as her scan results came in. "Sir, there's something inside the asteroid. Something metal. Something huge." The main screen changed to show a detailed scan of the asteroid. What they had thought was a normal space rock was actually wrapped around something artificial, a massive structure that extended deep into the asteroid's core. "Magnify," Jack ordered, his heart beating faster. The image zoomed in, revealing what looked like the hull of a ship, but not just any ship. This was enormous, dwarfing even the largest Coalition dreadnoughts. "We need to report this to Coalition Command immediately," Traz said, his voice tight with authority. "And then continue our mission." Jack turned to face the alien. "The exploration protocols give us the right to investigate unusual phenomena. This clearly qualifies." "This is beyond your authority, human," Traz said coldly. Jack stood his ground. Protocol 27B specifically states that survey vessels may conduct preliminary investigations of up to 48 hours before reporting unusual discoveries. "I'm invoking that protocol now." Traz's compound eyes narrowed, but he knew Jack was right. "Very well. 48 hours, then we report to my superiors." 4 hours later, Jack led a team in environmental suits to the asteroid's surface. Emma and Sam came with him, along with Traz, who insisted on monitoring their activities. They used cutting tools to create an entrance through the asteroid's outer layer. "The structure appears to be some kind of spacecraft," Emma said, scanning the hull they had exposed. "But the metal, it's not in our database." Sam ran his gloved hand over the dark, smooth surface. "This material should have been destroyed by micrometeorites over time, but it's nearly perfect." They cut through an outer door, revealing a massive airlock. To everyone's surprise, ancient mechanisms still functioned, allowing them entry into the ship itself. Inside, their helmet lights revealed enormous corridors that made them feel like ants. The air was stale but breathable, and gravity systems still functioned at low power. "This is impossible," Traz muttered, genuine awe in his voice. "This technology." Sam found what appeared to be a control panel, and against Traz's protests, activated it. Lights flickered to life along the corridors, and a deep hum filled the air as ancient systems awoke from their long sleep. "I'm detecting power building up throughout the ship," Emma said, checking her scanner. "It's like it's waking up." They followed the activated lighting to what appeared to be a bridge or command center. The scale was enormous, designed for beings similar in size to humans, but with technology far beyond anything they had ever seen. "I estimate this ship is at least 15 kilometers long," Emma said, her voice filled with wonder. "It makes our largest vessels look like toys." Sam worked at what seemed to be a main console. "I think I can access some basic information." There, the ship's name is translating. Ancient symbols on a central display shifted and changed, eventually forming words they could understand. "The Harbinger," Jack read aloud. "But how can it be displaying in our language?" Emma moved to another station, examining symbols carved into the walls. "Captain, you need to see this. These markings, they're similar to ancient human writing. Some of these symbols appear in early human civilizations from Earth." "Impossible," Traz snapped. "Humans were isolated on Earth until first contact. Carbon dating puts this ship at approximately 50,000 years old." Emma continued, ignoring the alien. "But this technology, it's beyond even current coalition capabilities." Jack stared at the symbols, a chill running down his spine. "Are you saying humans, or something related to humans, built this ship 50,000 years ago?" Before Emma could answer, the main display lit up completely. A voice spoke, deep and resonant, in a language none of them recognized at first. Then, astonishingly, it shifted, trying different sounds until it found words they understood. "Caretaker protocols activated. Emergency power restored. I am Guardian, overseer of the precursor vessel Harbinger. Identity verification required for full systems access." The four of them stood frozen, staring at each other in shock. Traz's mandibles clicked rapidly in what Jack recognized as extreme agitation. "This changes everything," Jack whispered, understanding in that moment that human history was not what they had been told. "Everything. This is Guardian, overseer of the precursor vessel Harbinger. Identity verification required for full systems access." The artificial voice echoed through the massive command center, leaving Captain Jack Reed and his team in stunned silence. Even Traz, the Varn observer, seemed too shocked to speak. Emma was the first to recover. "It's speaking our language," she whispered. "How is that possible?" The voice responded immediately. "Language analysis complete. Multiple Earth dialects detected. Adapting communication protocols." Sam moved closer to the console, his engineer's curiosity overcoming his caution. "It's an artificial intelligence, and it's active after 50,000 years." Traz finally snapped out of his shock. "Step away from the controls," he ordered, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "All interactions with unknown technology must be approved by Coalition Command." Jack ignored him, addressing the AI directly. "Guardian, I am Captain Jack Reed of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. Can you tell us who built you?" The central display flickered, showing a series of images, stars, planets, and finally, to everyone's shock, an ancient image of Earth. "I was created by the precursors," Guardian replied. "The ones who departed Earth during the Great Migration, 50,000 of your years ago." Jack felt his mouth go dry. "Humans? Humans built this ship. Your kind were once known as the Inheritors," Guardian explained. "You are the descendants of those who chose to remain on Earth when the precursors departed." Traz pushed forward, his tall insect-like form looming over the humans. "This is Coalition property now. I am taking command of this situation." He turned to Jack with cold compound eyes. "Your survey time is over. We will wait for proper Coalition authorities." Jack stood his ground. We still have over 40 hours left in our investigation period. Traz's voice dropped to a threatening hiss. This discovery changes the parameters. I must contact my superiors immediately. As the alien turned to leave, Guardian's voice filled the room again. Warning. Hostile bioform detected. Defense protocols initiating. Panels slid open in the walls, revealing what looked like weapon systems. Traz froze in his tracks. Guardian, wait. Jack called out. He's with us. Don't harm him. The weapons remained deployed but didn't fire. Bioform matches Varn genetic profile. Guardian stated. Historical enemy designation. Recommend caution. Emma and Sam exchanged worried glances. Historical enemy? Emma asked. What does that mean? Before Guardian could answer, Traz pulled out a small device and spoke rapidly into it in his native language. Jack recognized enough words to understand he was calling for backup. Captain, Sam whispered urgently, I think he's trying to get Varn ships here before our 48 hours are up. Jack nodded grimly. Guardian, can you show us more about the precursors? About this ship's purpose? The main display changed again, showing images of humans in advanced clothing, building massive cities among the stars. The images shifted to show enormous fleets of ships like the Harbinger, traveling between galaxies. The precursors built a civilization spanning multiple star systems, Guardian explained. The Harbinger was among the last vessels constructed before the Great Conflict. The Great Conflict, Jack prompted. More images appeared. Battles between ships, planets burning, and to their shock, creatures that looked exactly like the Varn. The Varn Empire attacked precursor worlds without warning, Guardian continued. A war lasting thousands of years followed. Traz made a sound between a hiss and a growl. Lies. Propaganda. The Varn have always been peacekeepers of the galaxy. Jack turned to him slowly. You knew, didn't you? Your people always knew about the precursors. The past is irrelevant. Traz said coldly. What matters is that this technology belongs to the Coalition now, to the Varn. A small warning alarm sounded from Emma's scanner. Captain, I'm detecting a communication signal from Traz's device. It's bypassing our ship's systems, transmitting directly to somewhere else. Jack looked at Traz with new understanding. You're calling for reinforcements. You want to take this ship before anyone else in the Coalition knows about it. Varn vessels approaching, Guardian announced suddenly. Estimated arrival. 6 hours. Sam looked at the engineering console, his face pale. Captain, if the Varn get control of this ship and its technology. Jack didn't need him to finish. The implications were clear. If the precursors had been advanced enough to build something like the Harbinger 50,000 years ago, and the Varn had fought a war against them, then everything they knew about galactic history was wrong. Guardian, Jack said firmly, we need to access your historical database, and we need to know what this ship can do. The AI seemed to consider this request. Partial access granted to human users. Emergency protocols activated. New displays lit up around them, showing ship systems coming online. Sam moved to an engineering station, his fingers hovering over unfamiliar controls. Captain, I think I can figure this out. The interface is adapting to be more understandable. Traz moved toward the exit. I forbid this. As Coalition observer, I command you to. He never finished. A transparent barrier appeared, cutting him off from the humans and trapping him in a small section of the bridge. Containment field activated, Guardian announced. Varn threat neutralized. Jack stepped closer to the barrier. We're not going to harm you, Traz, but we can't let you or your people take this ship until we understand what's happening. Emma had found what appeared to be a historical database. Her eyes widened as she read. Captain, according to this, the precursors weren't warriors. They were explorers and scientists who tried to peacefully contact other species, including the Varn. More information flowed across the screens as Guardian continued to grant them access. The Varn attacked the precursors because they feared their technology. Emma continued reading. And after the war, the Varn didn't just defeat the precursors. They hunted them to extinction. Sam looked up from his console. Not complete extinction. Guardian, were some precursors saved. The Harbinger was not primarily a weapon of war, Guardian replied. It was the last ark of precursor knowledge, hidden away before our civilization fell. I was programmed to wait until worthy inheritors found this vessel. A new alarm sounded. Through the massive viewports, they could see lights in the distance, ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Varn battle group detected, Guardian announced. 5 warships approaching. Defensive systems at minimal capacity. Jack looked at his small team, then at the trapped Varn observer, and finally at the wonders of the ancient ship around them. In this moment, he understood that the future of humanity had changed forever. Guardian, he said with determination, teach us how to use this ship. Quickly. Varn battle group approaching. Weapons charging. Guardian's voice was calm despite the danger. Captain Jack Reed watched through the massive view screen as 5 Varn warships surrounded the asteroid containing the Harbinger. His palms felt sweaty. The Pathfinder was just a survey ship with minimal weapons. Against 5 warships, they stood no chance. Their only hope was the ancient dreadnought they stood in, but it was only partially awake after 50,000 years of sleep. Guardian, what defensive capabilities do we have? Jack asked. Main weapons are offline. Hull integrity at 60%. Shield systems operational at minimal capacity. Sam worked frantically at the engineering console. I think I'm figuring out the power systems. It's almost designed to be understood by humans. Because it was designed by humans, Emma said softly. She hadn't moved from the historical database, her face pale as she read. Captain, you need to see this. Jack joined her, looking at the stream of information flowing across the screen. Images showed the once great precursor civilization. Human cities spanning entire planets, ships traveling between stars, scientific wonders beyond imagination. Then came the war, the Varn attacks, the fall of world after world. This can't be right, he whispered. Emma pointed to specific data points. According to this, the Varn didn't just defeat the precursors. They stole their technology. Everything the Varn now use. Their ships, their weapons, their faster-than-light drives. They took from humans, from the precursors, from inside his containment field. Traz hissed angrily. Lies. Varn civilization has always been superior. Guardian, Jack asked, is this true? Did the Varn steal precursor technology? Affirmative, the Eye replied. The Varn were a primitive species when they first encountered precursor explorers. They were given technology freely, as was precursor custom. They used these gifts to build weapons and attack. A communication alert sounded. On the main screen, the face of a Varn commander appeared, older than Traz, with battle scars across his exoskeleton. This is High Admiral Krex of the Varn Defense Force. Surrender the precursor vessel immediately or face destruction. Jack stepped forward. This is Captain Jack Reed. We are conducting a legal investigation under Coalition exploration protocols. We still have time remaining. Your protocols are irrelevant. Krex interrupted. That vessel belongs to the Varn by right of victory. Our ancestors defeated the precursors in honorable combat. Is that what you call it? Emma couldn't help herself. Stealing technology and committing genocide. Krex's compound eyes narrowed. You know nothing, human. Your species has been kept in its proper place for a reason. You are the descendants of the greatest threat this galaxy has ever known. So it's true, Jack said quietly. The Varn have been deliberately holding humans back because you know we're related to the precursors. You fear what we might become. Incoming weapons fire, Guardian announced. The Harbinger shuddered as Varn energy weapons struck the asteroid's surface, beginning to tear away the rock protecting the ancient ship. Minimal shields engaged, Guardian said. Diverting emergency power. Sam looked up from his console. "Captain, I think I can get the engines online, but we'd still be outgunned." Jack made his decision. "Guardian, begin transferring all precursor knowledge to our systems. If we don't survive, humanity needs to know the truth." "Data transfer initiated," Guardian confirmed. Emma gasped as new information flooded her screen. "Captain, the precursors. They weren't conquerors. After the war began, they could have wiped out the Varn completely. They had planet-killing weapons, but they chose not to use them." "Why?" Jack asked. "Because they had seen that path before," Emma read. "On Earth, before the Great Migration, they had nearly destroyed themselves. They vowed never to commit genocide, even to save themselves." The ship rocked again as more Varn weapons found their mark. "Asteroid shell compromised," Guardian announced. "Hull exposed in sectors 7 through 12. "We need options," Jack said grimly. Sam suddenly straightened. "Captain, I think I've found something. The ship has a defensive system that doesn't target ships directly. It's some kind of technology disruptor." "Explain," Jack demanded. "It sends out a wave that temporarily disables advanced technology. It doesn't destroy ships, just turns them off for a while." Jack looked at the approaching Varn fleet. "Guardian, can we use this system?" "Affirmative. Power levels sufficient for one activation." Another blast rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Hull breach in Sector 14, Guardian reported. "Sealing emergency bulkheads." Jack made his choice. "Activate the disruptor." "Disruptor charging," Guardian confirmed. "Target lock established." On the view screen, they could see energy building at the front of the Harbinger, a blue-white glow spreading along ancient weapon ports. Firing. A pulse of energy unlike anything Jack had ever seen erupted from the ship, expanding outward in a perfect sphere. When it reached the Varn vessels, their lights flickered and died. The energy weapons charging on their hulls went dark. "Varn fleet disabled," Guardian announced. "Estimated recovery time, 30 minutes. "We need to use this time," Jack said. "Sam, get those engines online. Emma, download everything you can from the database. We need to reveal the truth to the whole coalition." As they worked frantically, more information came to light. Emma discovered records showing the Varn had not only destroyed the precursors, but had been systematically suppressing any species that showed signs of rapid technological advancement, especially humans. "They've been lying to everyone," Emma said. "The coalition isn't about cooperation. It's about control." Jack nodded grimly. "And now we know why." A new alert sounded. Guardian's voice seemed almost pleased. "Additional vessels detected. Non-Varn signatures." On the view screen, they saw a dozen ships appear, smaller than the Varn warships, but numerous. Jack recognized their designs from different coalition species. "They're receiving our transmission," Emma said in surprise. When we activated the disruptor, Guardian broadcast the historical archives to every ship in range. Everyone can see what really happened to the precursors. A communication request flashed on the screen. Jack accepted it, and the face of a Tellarian captain appeared, a reptilian species known for their intelligence and caution. "Captain Reed," the Tellarian said formally, "the Varn have much to answer for. We stand with you." One by one, other captains joined the channel, representatives from species that had long been treated as second-class citizens in the Varn-dominated coalition. "The disruptor is recharged," Guardian announced, "and I have accessed additional defensive systems." Jack looked at the disabled Varn fleet, the gathering allies, and his determined crew. For the first time since the discovery, he allowed himself to feel hope. "Guardian," he said, "tell us everything about this ship. Tell us what the Harbinger was really built for." "The Harbinger was not designed primarily as a weapon of war," Guardian replied. "It was created to be a messenger, to carry the final truth of the precursors to their descendants when they were ready. That time has come." On screens throughout the bridge, new information appeared. secrets the precursors had hidden away, waiting for humanity to rediscover them. The truth that would change everything. 3 months had passed since the discovery of the Harbinger. What had once been a derelict vessel hidden in an asteroid was now the center of the greatest upheaval the galaxy had seen in 30,000 years. Captain Jack Reed stood on the bridge of the ancient dreadnought, now humming with restored power. The ship had been fully excavated from its asteroid hiding place and now floated freely in space, surrounded by a growing fleet of vessels from dozens of coalition species. "Status report," Jack said, looking around at what had once been a small survey team, but was now the command crew of the most powerful ship in the galaxy. Emma looked up from her console, where streams of precursor data continued to flow. In the past months, she had learned more about human history than all Earth's historians combined. "The broadcast continues to reach new systems daily," she reported. 17 more worlds have declared independence from Varn control. Sam approached from the engineering section, wiping his hands on a cloth. He had been working with engineers from a dozen species to restore the Harbinger systems. "Engine efficiency up to 87%, he said proudly. "And we've installed the knowledge transfer systems on the Allied ships. They can now use some of the basic precursor technology without Varn override codes." Jack nodded. The revelation that the Varn had installed hidden override codes in all technology they shared with other species had been one of the most damaging discoveries. "What about the Varn response?" he asked. Emma's expression turned serious. "Their home fleet has been mobilized. Long-range scouts report they'll reach our position in approximately 10 hours. 47 battleships and support vessels." Jack looked at the tactical display. Their own alliance had grown to include nearly 30 ships, but they were smaller, less well-armed vessels. The Varn still controlled the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. "Guardian," Jack addressed the ship's eye. "What's your assessment?" The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. "The Varn fleet outguns our allied vessels by a factor of 6. Conventional engagement would result in significant losses. But we have the Harbinger," Sam pointed out. "The Harbinger's defensive capabilities are formidable," Guardian agreed, "but not designed for prolonged combat operations. Our primary advantage remains the technology disruptor." Jack nodded. The disruptor had proven to be their most effective weapon, capable of temporarily neutralizing Varn ships without destroying them. "The problem is they know about it now," he said. "They'll have countermeasures." As if in response to his words, a communication request came through. Jack signaled to Emma to accept it. The screen displayed the face of High Admiral Krex, his scared exoskeleton now adorned with additional military insignia. "Captain Reed," Krex said, his voice cold with controlled fury. "This rebellion ends now. You have spread lies and sedition throughout coalition space." "Not lies, Admiral," Jack replied calmly. "Just history, your history. The truth your people have hidden for 30,000 years." Krex's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You know nothing of the burden we have carried. The precursors were not the benevolent explorers you believed them to be. They were dangerous. Their technology was dangerous." "Dangerous to your control, you mean?" Emma said, stepping into view of the communication array. "The precursors nearly destroyed themselves on Earth before they came to the stars," Krex said. "We did what was necessary to protect the galaxy." Jack shook his head. "By committing genocide. By stealing their technology and using it to enslave other species. By ensuring stability." Krex nearly shouted. "Your human ancestors created weapons that could destroy stars, tear holes in reality itself. They had to be stopped before they destroyed everything." There was something in the Admiral's voice that gave Jack pause, not just anger, but fear. Real fear. "Guardian," Jack said after Krex finished, "is this true? Did the precursors have weapons that powerful?" "The precursors developed significant technological capabilities," Guardian confirmed, "including weapons of considerable destructive potential. However, after the near destruction of Earth, they established strict ethical protocols governing their use." Jack turned back to the screen. So you attacked them because of what they might do, not what they had done. We attacked because we saw the inevitable outcome of letting such power go unchecked, Krex replied. And now you prove our point. In just 3 months, you have torn apart the stability of the coalition. Worlds that have known peace for millennia now prepare for war. Not war, Jack corrected. Freedom, independence from Varn control. Krex's compound eyes seemed to narrow. You have 6 hours to surrender the precursor vessel and all its technology. After that, we will destroy it and everyone on board. This is your only warning. The screen went dark. Jack turned to face his crew and the representatives of other species who had joined them on the bridge. He's afraid, Sam said quietly. They all are. That's why they've always held humans back. Not just humans, said Nax, a Tellurian commander who had become one of their strongest allies. Any species that develops too quickly. My people were subjected to 3 separate technology restrictions in the past millennium. Emma looked up from her console. Captain, I've been studying the final records of the precursor civilization. I think I understand now. She brought up a series of images on the main display. Beautiful worlds, advanced cities, and finally a series of stark, barren planets. The precursors didn't just fight the Varn, she explained. They were also fighting something else, something they called the corruption. Some kind of technological plague that affected advanced systems. And this is relevant now because, Jack prompted, because the precursors believed the corruption was attracted to misused technology. Weapons, especially. They came to believe that using their most powerful weapons would only spread the corruption faster. Sam looked troubled. So they held back, even when they were losing. Emma nodded. They sacrificed themselves to protect other emerging species, including their distant cousins still developing on Earth. Jack considered this information. Guardian, did the Varn know about this corruption? Uncertain, the Eye replied. However, precursor records indicate attempts to warn the Varn. These warnings were ignored. A tactical alert sounded. Sam rushed to his console. Captain, the Varn fleet has accelerated. They'll be here in under 2 hours. Jack made his decision. Alert all Allied vessels. Prepare for defensive positions. He turned to Guardian. And activate all systems. It's time to show the Varn what the Harbinger was really designed to do. Caution advised. Guardian responded. Primary systems have not been fully tested. We're out of time for testing, Jack said grimly. The future of every free species in the galaxy depends on what happens in the next 2 hours. As warning klaxons sounded throughout the massive ship, Jack looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Varn armada. Whatever happened next would change the course of galactic history forever. The massive Varn fleet filled the view screen of the Harbinger. 47 battleships, their weapons primed and ready, moved into attack formation. Behind Jack Reed, the bridge crew worked with quiet determination. This was the moment everything had led to. All Allied ships in defensive positions, Emma reported. Everyone's standing with us, Captain. The Allied fleet looked small compared to the Varn armada, barely 30 ships of various sizes, crewed by beings from a dozen different species. What they lacked in firepower, they made up for in courage and the conviction that they were fighting for the truth. Guardian, Jack addressed the ship's eye. Are all systems ready? Primary systems online, Guardian confirmed. However, I must again advise caution. The Harbinger's core technology was not designed primarily for warfare. Sam looked up from his engineering console. We've learned so much in 3 months, but there's still so much we don't understand about this ship. Jack nodded. He knew they were taking an enormous risk, but the alternative was surrender, and that wasn't an option. Not after everything they had learned about the Varn and their lies. The communication system activated, and High Admiral Krex appeared on the main screen. Your time has expired, Captain Reed, the Varn commander said coldly. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Jack stood tall. We will not surrender the truth, Admiral. For 30,000 years, your people have controlled the galaxy through lies and manipulation. That ends today. So be it, Krex replied. You leave us no choice. The screen went dark, and seconds later, energy weapons from the Varn fleet lit up space. The battle had begun. Shields holding. Guardian reported as the first barrage hit the Harbinger. Allied vessels taking damage. Jack watched as the smaller ships of their coalition moved to engage the Varn fleet, drawing fire away from the Harbinger. They were buying time, and everyone knew it. Disruptor status? Jack asked. Charged and ready, Sam replied. But they're keeping their distance. They're outside our effective range. Jack had expected this. The Varn knew about their primary weapon now and had adjusted their tactics. Guardian, what about the primary system you mentioned? The one the Harbinger was actually designed for. The Revelation Protocol is operational, Guardian confirmed. However, once activated, it cannot be stopped. Emma looked up from her console. Captain, I've been studying this. The Revelation Protocol isn't a weapon. At least not in the conventional sense. It's designed to share knowledge. Explain, Jack said. The precursors built the Harbinger as a fail-safe. Emma continued, her eyes alight with understanding. If they lost the war, this ship would preserve their knowledge and their values. The Revelation Protocol is meant to share that knowledge with all advanced species simultaneously. Another blast rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Shields at 60%, Guardian reported. 3 Allied vessels destroyed. Varn fleet advancing. Jack made his decision. Prepare the Revelation Protocol. Target all ships, Varn and allies alike. Captain, Sam said uncertainly, we don't know exactly what this will do. We know the precursors weren't destroyers, Jack replied. They valued life, even their enemies' lives. I trust their judgment. He turned to the main console. Guardian, activate the Revelation Protocol. Acknowledged. Revelation Protocol, initiating. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power was diverted to the ship's core. A low hum built throughout the massive vessel, rising in pitch and intensity. Energy signature unlike anything I've ever seen, Sam reported, staring at his readings with wide eyes. On the view screen, they could see the Varn ships continuing their advance, unaware of what was about to happen. Revelation Protocol activated, Guardian announced. A wave of energy, different from the disruptor, pulsed outward from the Harbinger. It was almost invisible, a ripple in space that expanded in all directions at incredible speed. When it reached the Varn fleet, their weapons continued to fire, but something else happened. Communication channels suddenly opened across all frequencies. Voices, Varn voices, filled the bridge. What is this? One Varn commander asked. I see. I understand now, said another. All ships cease fire, came a third voice. Cease fire immediately. To Jack's amazement, the Varn weapons fell silent. Even High Admiral Krex's flagship stopped its advance. What did we just do? Jack asked softly. The Revelation Protocol does not disable weapons or ships, Guardian explained. It shares knowledge directly with all sentient minds within range. Every being in the Varn fleet now has access to the complete, unfiltered history of the precursors, the Varn, and the truth about the corruption. We gave them understanding, Emma whispered. The main screen activated again. High Admiral Krex appeared, but his demeanor had completely changed. His compound eyes seemed somehow softer, his posture less rigid. Captain Reed, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. We had no idea. The truth has been hidden even from most of our own people for generations. Only the highest levels of our government knew the full history. And now everyone knows, Jack said. Krex nodded slowly. The corruption. It was real. Is still real, somewhere out in the darkness between galaxies. Our ancestors didn't just fear the precursors' weapons. They feared what those weapons might attract. But that didn't justify genocide, Jack said firmly. No, Krex agreed, surprising everyone. It did not. What our ancestors did was unforgivable. They took the easy path, elimination rather than cooperation, and then they built an empire on lies. Over the next several hours, an unprecedented peace was established. Ships that had been firing on each other now docked together. Crews that had been enemies now shared knowledge and resources. 1 year later, Jack stood on the observation deck of the Harbinger, watching as representatives from every coalition species, including the Varn, signed the new Galactic Alliance Treaty. The massive ship, once hidden and forgotten, now served as both headquarters and symbol for a new era of cooperation. Emma joined him at the viewport. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" she asked. Jack shook his head. "Not in my wildest dreams." "The precursors would be proud," she said. "Their legacy lives on, not through dominance or weapons, but through knowledge freely shared." Sam approached, holding a datapad. "The latest reports from Earth. They've successfully integrated the medical technology from the precursor database. Diseases that plagued humanity for centuries are being eradicated." Jack smiled. "And the corruption?" "No sign of it," Sam confirmed. "But we're monitoring, just as the precursors did. And this time, if it appears, we'll face it together, all species united." Guardian's voice joined their conversation. "Captain Reed, final preparations are complete. The expedition vessels are ready for departure." Jack looked through the viewport at the small fleet of ships prepared for the greatest journey yet. Using coordinates found in the deepest parts of the precursor database, they were about to embark on a mission to a distant galaxy, a place where the last precursors might have escaped to 30,000 years ago. "The best of every species," Emma said, looking at the crews boarding the ships. "Humans, Varn, Talarians, all working together." Jack nodded. "That's the real legacy of the Harbinger. Not the technology or the weapons, but this, bringing us all together." As the expedition ships prepared to depart, Jack thought about how far they had come. From a routine survey mission to changing the course of galactic history, all because of a lost dreadnought, hidden away for 50,000 years, waiting for the right moment to reveal its truth. Not as a weapon of war, but as a beacon of hope for all species. The old ship Persistence shook as it moved through space. Its metal walls rattled with each burst from the engines. Captain Jack gripped his seat as the ship jumped to a higher speed. "Status report," Jack called out, his voice steady despite the trembling floor beneath his boots. "All systems normal, Captain," Lisa replied from her communication station. Her fingers danced across the glowing screen. "But normal for this old ship isn't saying much." Jack smiled. The Persistence was over 20 years old, ancient for a space freighter. But she was reliable, and that mattered more than being new and shiny. "Nav check," Jack asked, turning to his right. Tom, the ship's navigator, nodded without looking up from his screens. "We're on course to reach Colony Delta in 3 days. We'll need to pass through Sector 87 first." He paused, his forehead wrinkling. "That's close to Dravian space." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew about the Dravians, tall, gray-skinned aliens with technology far more advanced than human ships. They mostly ignored humans, seeing them as primitive newcomers to space travel. But sometimes, Dravian ships would stop human vessels just to remind them who was stronger. "We'll be fine," Jack said firmly. "We're carrying medical supplies, not weapons. Even Dravians respect medical shipments." Mike, the security officer, snorted from his station near the back of the bridge. "Respect. Those four-eyed snobs don't respect anything about humans. They think we're dirt that learned how to walk." "That's enough, Mike," Jack said. "Let's just do our job and get these supplies to the colony." The next 12 hours passed quietly. The crew took turns resting while the Persistence pushed forward through the darkness of space. In the engine room, Kate worked tirelessly, coaxing the old systems to keep running smooth. "You know," she told Ben, the ship's doctor, who had come down to check on her, This ship could run for another 20 years if those corporate types would just let me upgrade the core processors. Ben smiled, handing her a cup of coffee. The company barely approves basic repairs. I doubt they'll spring for upgrades. Kate took a sip and pointed to a panel near the wall. I've been studying some of those old systems. Did you know this ship was built using some tech we got from those artifacts found on Mars? There's code in here I don't even understand, and I've been an engineer for 15 years. Ben raised an eyebrow. Ancient alien tech. Sounds like one of those conspiracy vids. Laugh all you want, Kate said, but something about this ship's core design is. The alarm cut her off, its high-pitched wail echoing through every room of the ship. Red lights flashed along the walls as Kate and Ben rushed toward the bridge. By the time they arrived, everyone was at their stations. On the main screen, a massive ship had appeared, its sleek silver hull gleaming against the blackness of space. Dravian warship, Tom said, his voice tight. Heavy class. They're scanning us. Open communications, Jack ordered. Let them know what we're carrying. Lisa pressed several buttons on her panel. Channel open, Captain. Attention Dravian vessel, Jack said clearly. This is Captain Jack of the human freighter Persistence. We are carrying medical supplies to Colony Delta. We mean no harm and request permission to continue our journey. The screen remained dark for several long seconds. Then it flickered, showing the face of a Dravian commander. The alien's gray skin looked almost metallic under the lights of his ship. His 4 eyes, 2 large ones where human eyes would be, and 2 smaller ones above, stared coldly at Jack. Human vessel, the Dravian said, his thin lips barely moving. You have entered a sector under Dravian protection. Your presence is unwelcome. Jack leaned forward. We're just passing through on our way to a human colony. Our charts show this is neutral space. The Dravian made a sound that might have been a laugh. Your charts, like your technology, are primitive and flawed. This sector falls under new Dravian claim as of 30 rotations ago. Mike muttered something under his breath. Jack shot him a warning look before turning back to the screen. We apologize for the misunderstanding, Jack said carefully. We'll adjust our course immediately. The Dravian commander's 4 eyes blinked in unison. That will not be necessary. Your vessel requires inspection. Before Jack could respond, the ship shuddered violently. The lights flickered and died, leaving only the emergency red glow. Screens went dark across the bridge as a wave of energy washed over the Persistence. What just happened? Jack demanded, struggling to see in the dim light. Kate's fingers flew over her dead engineering panel, trying to get some response. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse. It's fry our systems. We're dead in space. The main screen flickered back to life. The only system still working, showing the Dravian commander once more. Your vessel is obsolete. Your species is unworthy of the stars. We leave you adrift as a lesson. The alien's voice was flat, emotionless. Perhaps in time, humans will learn their place. The screen went dark as the Dravian ship turned away, its engines flaring blue as it accelerated into the distance. Status report, Jack called out. What's still working? Not much, Kate said grimly. Main power is gone. Life support is on emergency backup. We have maybe 3 days of air. Engines are completely dead. Communications, Jack asked, turning to Lisa. She shook her head. Long-range comms are fried. We couldn't call for help even if there was anyone to hear us. What about the distress beacon? Mike asked. Also dead, Kate replied. Whatever they hit us with, it was designed to take out everything. The crew fell silent, the reality of their situation sinking in. They were floating in space with no power, no way to call for help, and a limited air supply. So that's it, Tom finally asked. We just sit here and wait to die. Jack stood up, his face set with determination. No, we find a way to fix this. Kate, you and I will check the engine room. There must be something we can salvage. Tom, Mike, check our supplies. Ben, see what medical resources we have if things get rough. Lisa, keep trying the comms. Maybe something will come back online. The crew moved with new purpose, but the fear remained in their eyes. In the engine room, Kate knelt beside the main control panel, her flashlight held between her teeth as she worked. She pulled off the cover, revealing a complex web of circuits and wires. "This is strange," she said, pointing to a section deep within the panel. "The pulse fried most systems, but look at this part here. It's changing." Jack leaned closer. In the beam of the flashlight, he could see tiny lights beginning to flicker where there had been darkness moments before. Strange symbols appeared on a small screen that Kate had never noticed before. "What is that?" Jack asked. Kate's eyes widened. I think the Dravian pulse didn't just shut down our systems. It somehow reset something much deeper. Jack, remember what I was telling Ben about the ancient tech this ship was built on? I think we're seeing it wake up." She pointed to the symbols scrolling across the hidden screen. "These aren't in any human language I know. This could be the original operating system of the ship, the one built on technology we barely understand." Jack looked from the strange symbols to Kate's excited face. "Are you saying there's a chance?" Kate nodded, a spark of hope in her eyes. "More than a chance, Captain. I think the Dravians just did what the company never would. They gave us access to the real power of this ship. For the first time since the attack." Jack smiled. "Then let's make the most of it. Get the others down here. If there's a way to bring this ship back to life, we're going to find it." Outside, the stars continued their cold, distant watch as the disabled ship drifted silently through space. But inside, something ancient and powerful had begun to stir. "Everyone, gather around," Kate called out, her voice echoing through the dim engine room. The emergency lights cast long shadows across the walls as the crew of the Persistence huddled around the open control panel. "What are we looking at?" Mike asked, squinting at the strange symbols flickering on the small screen. Kate pointed to the dancing lights. "I think this is the ship's true operating system, the one that was hidden beneath all our normal controls." "Hidden? By who?" Lisa asked. Ben stepped closer, his eyes widening as he studied the symbols. "These look familiar," he said slowly. "They're similar to markings found on those artifacts from the Mars dig site." Tom raised an eyebrow. "The ones they said were left by some space-traveling civilization before humans even had fire." Ben nodded. "The precursors, they called them. No one really knows who they were. They left technology scattered across our solar system, but most of it was too advanced for us to understand." He pointed to a particular symbol that kept repeating. This one was on tablets found in the deepest chamber. It means potential, or maybe evolution. The translations were never certain. "So our ship has alien tech in it?" Mike asked, looking around as if seeing the Persistence for the first time. Kate nodded. "The first faster-than-light engines were reverse-engineered from precursor tech. Everyone knows that. But I think the corporations that built ships like ours only implemented the bare minimum, just enough to make the ships work without really understanding the full system. And the Dravian pulse somehow unlocked it." Jack asked. "Exactly," Kate said. "It's like they used a key that opened a door we didn't even know was there." The screen suddenly changed, showing what looked like a ship schematic, but not of the Persistence they knew. This design was sleeker, with systems and connections they didn't recognize. "Is that our ship?" Lisa asked. "I think it's what our ship could be," Kate replied, her voice hushed with wonder. "The precursor tech wasn't just about faster-than-light travel. If I'm right, their technology was designed to evolve and adapt based on the needs of its users." "So what can we do with it?" Jack asked, always focused on the practical. Kate ran her fingers along the edge of the panel. "First, we need to understand how to communicate with it. Ben, you've studied these symbols more than anyone else here. Think you can help me work out a basic translation?" Ben nodded, already pulling out his tablet where he kept notes on ancient languages. I'll do my best. The rest of you, check the ship, Jack ordered. See if any other systems are showing similar changes. And keep track of our oxygen levels. No matter what ancient tech we found, we still need to breathe. The crew split up, each taking a section of the ship. Tom returned to the bridge, while Mike checked the cargo hold. Lisa stayed to help Ben and Kate with their impromptu translation efforts. Hours passed as they worked. The emergency oxygen scrubbers hummed in the background, a constant reminder of their limited time. On the bridge, Tom stared at his navigation console in disbelief. "Captain," he called over the ship's intercom. "You need to see this." When Jack arrived, Tom pointed to his screen, which had come to life with new displays. "I was just sitting here, thinking about how we could plot a course home if we got the engines working again." And the screen just turned on. The display showed not just their current position, but layers of space Tom had never seen before, currents and eddies in what should have been empty vacuum. "It's like it's showing us pathways through space," Tom said, his voice filled with awe. "Routes that would let us travel faster than our engines should allow." Jack stared at the display, then at Tom. "It responded to your thoughts." Tom nodded slowly. "I think it did. It's like the ship is listening to us." Similar reports came in from around the vessel. Mike found cargo bay doors that had been simple metal now showing intricate patterns that glowed faintly in the darkness. Lisa discovered her communications panel displaying signal types she'd never seen before. Back in the engine room, Kate and Ben made a breakthrough. "It's asking us something," Ben said, pointing to new symbols that had appeared on the screen. "I think it's saying, define purpose." Kate looked at Jack. "I think the ship wants to know what we want it to do." Jack considered this for a moment. "Tell it our purpose is survival. Tell it we need to get home safely." Ben carefully touched symbols on the screen, trying to communicate their intent. The response was immediate. The small screen expanded, projecting a holographic display into the center of the engine room. It showed the persistence surrounded by flowing energy patterns. "Is that power?" Lisa asked, pointing to the energy flows. Kate nodded, her eyes wide with excitement. "It's showing us how to reroute the ship's energy systems. This configuration is completely different from anything in our manuals." But she studied the display carefully. "If we connect these circuits here and here, we might be able to restore basic power." "Do it," Jack ordered. Kate hesitated. "Captain, this goes against everything I was taught about ship engineering. If I'm wrong." "We're already dead if we do nothing," Jack reminded her. "I trust your judgment, Kate." With Jack's approval, Kate began reworking the ship's systems according to the holographic guide. She disconnected standard pathways and created new ones, following patterns that seemed to defy conventional engineering logic. "This makes no sense," she muttered as she worked. "It's like we've been using the ship's systems all wrong for years, like trying to run a computer by connecting all the wrong wires." After an hour of careful work, Kate stepped back, wiping sweat from her forehead. "That should do it. If I'm right, we'll have power restored to critical systems. If I'm wrong, we'll have to try something else," Jack said firmly. "Go ahead." Kate took a deep breath and pressed a sequence of symbols on the screen. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum, lights flickered on throughout the ship. The main engines remained off, but life support systems came online, filling the ship with fresh air. "You did it," Lisa exclaimed. Kate shook her head in wonder. "No, the ship did it. All I did was follow its instructions. It's like it knew exactly what to do, but needed our help to make it happen." "So what now?" Mike asked. "We have lights and air, but we're still stuck in the middle of nowhere with no engines." Jack looked at the holographic display, which was now showing new patterns. "Now we keep going." "Kate, what's it showing us next?" Kate studied the display, her expression growing more excited. "I think it's showing us how to access the real engine system, not just the limited version we've been using. But this will take more work. We need to physically reconfigure parts of the engine core." "How long?" Jack asked. "With all of us working together, maybe 12 hours. Jack nodded. "Then we better get started. Tom, set up a watch rotation. I want someone monitoring space for any sign of the Dravians coming back. The rest of you, help Kate with whatever she needs." As the crew moved with new purpose, Ben hung back to speak privately with Jack. "You realize what we found, right?" he said quietly. "This isn't just some hidden feature of our ship. If I'm right about these symbols and what they represent, we've tapped into technology that's thousands of years beyond human understanding." Jack looked around at the ship, seeing it with new eyes. "And you think we can control it?" Ben shrugged. "The fact that it's responding to us at all suggests it was designed to be used by species less advanced than its creators. The question is, how much of its potential can we actually unlock? I guess we'll find out," Jack said, clapping Ben on the shoulder. Outside, the stars continued their silent watch as the Persistence hummed with new energy. Inside, the humans worked tirelessly, their hands guided by ancient wisdom, as they took their first steps toward claiming power they never knew existed. What none of them realized yet was that the ship wasn't just coming back to life, it was waking up. And it had chosen them. Sweat dripped from Kate's forehead as she carefully connected wires deep within the engine core. The work was delicate and dangerous. One wrong move could fry the systems they had managed to restore. "Hand me that tool," she said to Mike, who was helping her. Mike passed her a device that looked like a standard welding tool, but Kate had modified it according to the ship's instructions. It now emitted a soft blue light instead of the usual orange flame. "This doesn't make any sense," Mike said, watching as Kate touched the tool to a junction point. Instead of melting the metal, the blue light seemed to merge it with surrounding materials. "That's not how metal works." Kate smiled without looking up. "According to what we know about physics, no. But the precursors obviously knew things we don't." 12 hours had stretched into 18 as the crew worked nonstop to implement the changes the ship was showing them. Each small success led to new revelations about what their vessel could become. On the bridge, Tom and Lisa stared in wonder at the navigation systems, which now displayed information about space that no human instrument had ever detected before. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to swirling patterns on his screen. "The ship is showing us what it calls space currents, flows of energy that run through what we thought was empty space. If we can ride these currents, we could move faster than any human ship before us." Lisa nodded, equally amazed by what was happening with her communications array. "I'm picking up signals I've never seen before. Some are from stars themselves. It's like the ship can hear the universe talking." In the medical bay, Ben had discovered that the ship's healing systems were evolving too. What had been a basic first aid station was transforming into something far more advanced. "The medical scanner is showing me things about our bodies I didn't even learn in medical school," he told Jack when the captain came to check on him. "It's like having X-ray vision, but 100 times more detailed." Jack tried to hide his concern behind a steady expression. "Is any of this dangerous to us? Could the ship hurt us while it's changing?" Ben considered the question. "I don't think so. From everything I can tell, the ship is adapting to help us, not harm us. It's like it was designed to evolve based on the needs of its crew." Back in the engine room, Kate finally connected the last circuit the ship had shown her. She stood back, wiping grime from her hands. "That should do it," she said. "Now we just need to activate the new drive system." The crew gathered on the bridge as Kate prepared to bring the engines online. The ship looked the same from the outside, but inside, almost everything had changed. Walls that had been plain metal now showed intricate patterns that glowed softly. The air felt fresher, and even the ship's artificial gravity seemed more natural, less mechanical. "Everyone ready?" Kate asked, her finger hovering over the newly formed control panel. Jack looked around at his crew. Tired but hopeful faces nodded back at him. "Do it," he ordered. Kate pressed the activation sequence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a deep hum vibrated through the ship, starting at the engines and flowing forward until every part of the Persistence seemed to sing with energy. The lights dimmed briefly, then came back brighter and clearer than before. On the main screen, they could see the hull of their ship changing. The old scratched metal was shifting, becoming smoother and darker, with a subtle shimmer that hadn't been there before. "The hull is healing itself," Lisa whispered in awe. Inside, more changes were happening. The temperature, which had always been slightly too cold or too hot in different parts of the ship, now adjusted perfectly to their comfort. The air tasted sweeter, more alive. "Kate, what's happening to our ship?" Jack asked, both amazed and slightly unnerved by the transformation. Kate stared at her readings. "It's evolving, Captain. The precursor technology isn't just activating, it's adapting to us, learning what we need, and changing to provide it." "Is it alive?" Tom asked, watching as a crack in one wall sealed itself before his eyes. "Not alive like we are," Ben answered, "but not simply a machine either. It's something in between." Suddenly, all the screens on the bridge lit up at once. A message appeared, written in both the precursor symbols and, surprisingly, in English. "ENITI LIZAT incomplete. Perinarity systems online. Awaiting directive." The crew looked at each other in shock. "It's talking to us," Mike said. Jack stepped forward. "Ship," he said, feeling slightly foolish for speaking to the air. "Can you hear us?" The message changed. "HFY Sci. Neural interface. Stabilized. Crew recognized. Captain Jack, Engineer Kate, Navigator Tom, Security Officer Mike, Communications Specialist Lisa, Dr. B.N. "It knows our names," Lisa said, her voice hushed. "It knows who we are." Jack took a deep breath. "Ship, what are your capabilities now?" The screen filled with information. Too much to take in at once. Propulsion systems beyond anything humans had developed. Defensive capabilities that could withstand forces strong enough to shatter planets. Sensors that could detect a single life form from light years away. "This is incredible," Tom said, scrolling through the navigation options. "According to this, we could reach Earth in hours, not weeks." Kate's eyes widened as she reviewed the engineering data. "The power systems are drawing energy directly from the fabric of space itself. We'll never need to refuel." Mike studied the defensive capabilities with growing excitement. These shields could withstand a direct hit from a Dravian warship's main weapon. "We're practically invulnerable now." Jack held up his hand, calling for calm. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to test these systems carefully before we trust them completely." "Testing HPR2COLs available. Recommend GRADUATED sequence." Jack nodded. "Ship, begin with basic propulsion test. Low power." The hum of the engines changed pitch, and on the external cameras, they could see a gentle blue glow forming around the hull. "Moving at 1/4 light speed," Tom reported, his voice filled with disbelief. "No acceleration felt inside. The inertial dampeners are perfect." Jack couldn't help but smile. "Increase to half power." The blue glow intensified, and stars on the view screen began to blur. "We're now at 3/4 light speed," Tom said. Still no stress on the hull or internal systems. Before Jack could give another command, the ship's sensors flashed an alert. A vessel was approaching, a large one. "Dravian warship detected," the ship announced. Matching profile of vessel that initiated shutdown. The mood on the bridge changed instantly. The same Dravians who had left them to die were returning, probably to check if they were dead yet. "What are your orders, Captain?" Mike asked, his hand hovering over the newly formed weapons controls. Jack stared at the approaching Dravian ship on the screen. The aliens had meant for them to die slowly in the darkness of space. Now, the humans were armed with technology beyond even Dravian understanding. "Ship," Jack said quietly. "What would happen if the Dravians try to use their shutdown pulse on us again?" Previous VULMN ERABILITY corrected. Shoot down PULSE would be NEFFAKTE. Addition ALI. CONTRMEAS is now available. Jack nodded, a plan forming in his mind. Good. Let's give our friends a proper greeting, shall we? The crew exchanged glances, a mixture of fear and excitement on their faces as the Dravian warship grew larger on their screen. The persistence had changed, and now it was time to show the Dravians exactly what they had created when they tried to shut them down. The Dravian warship grew larger on the main screen of the Persistence. Its sleek, silver hull gleamed against the blackness of space, bristling with weapons designed to destroy vessels many times larger than the human freighter. "They're scanning us," Lisa reported from her communication station. "Their scan patterns are much more intense than before." Tom nodded. "They're probably confused. We don't look like the same ship they left for dead." Indeed, the Persistence had changed dramatically. Its once dull gray hull now had a deep blue-black color that seemed to shift and flow like water. The shape remained roughly the same, but smoother, as if the ship had melted and reformed into a more perfect version of itself. "Should we run?" Mike asked, fingers hovering over the weapon controls. "With our new engines, we could be halfway to Earth before they even turn around." Jack considered this for a moment. "No," he said finally. "If we run, they'll just find another human ship to pick on. It's time someone showed the Dravians that humans aren't as helpless as they think." The captain straightened his uniform, which was still the same even if his ship was not, and nodded to Lisa. "Open a channel to the Dravian vessel." Lisa touched a series of glowing symbols on her console. "Channel open, Captain." "Dravian vessel," Jack said, his voice steady and confident. "This is Captain Jack of the Persistence, the ship you attempted to destroy. We would like to speak with your commander." There was a long pause before the main screen flickered, showing the same four-eyed Dravian commander who had left them to die. The alien's expression showed confusion, quickly masked by disdain. "Human vessel," the Dravian said, his voice cold and metallic. "You have made modifications to your ship. Explain how you survived our shutdown procedure." Jack smiled. "We adapted. That's what humans do. You thought you were teaching us a lesson about our place in the universe. Instead, you taught us something about ourselves." The Dravian's four eyes narrowed. "Your primitive technology could not have countered our pulse weapon. You must have received outside assistance. Identify who helped you." "No one helped us," Jack replied. "In fact, you did us a favor. Your attack unlocked potential in our ship that we never knew existed." The Dravian commander made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. "You expect me to believe that human ingenuity alone could produce technology that our sensors cannot even classify? Your species has barely mastered space travel." "Believe what you want," Jack said with a shrug. "But know this, we are not the easy target you thought we were." The commander's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Ben had once explained to the crew, "You will power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. We will discover how you have acquired this technology." Jack looked around at his crew. Each face showed determination, not fear. They had come too far to surrender now. "I'm afraid we must decline your invitation," Jack said calmly. "We have cargo to deliver." The Dravian's face darkened with anger. "You do not have a choice, human. Power down or be destroyed." Jack ended the transmission with a gesture. "They're charging weapons," Mike reported, studying his display. "Ship," Jack said to the air. "What are our options?" The main screen changed, showing a detailed analysis of the Dravian vessel. Points of weakness were highlighted in red, while weapon systems were outlined in yellow. "Multiple OPTIONs available," the ship responded in text across the bottom of the screen. defensive, offensive, or EVAs, IVs, or ATGIs ready. We don't want to kill anyone, Jack said firmly, but we need to show them we're not to be trifled with. Can we disable their weapons without destroying their ship? HFY Sci. Tar GT elite T2 magnetic burst available. Similar to ATAC USD and this vessel, but precisely calibrated. Jack nodded. Perfect. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Captain, Kate warned from her engineering station, we haven't fully tested our new systems yet. There could be unexpected results. Noted, Jack said. But I don't think the Dravians are going to give us time for proper testing procedures. As if to confirm his words, the Dravian ship fired a warning shot, a beam of energy that passed just over the Persistence's hull. Their weapons are fully charged, Mike reported. Next shot won't be a warning. Jack took a deep breath. Ship, proceed with the electromagnetic burst. Target their weapon systems only. Executing. The Persistence hummed with power. On the exterior cameras, they could see energy building around their hull, focusing into a wave that shot toward the Dravian vessel. Unlike normal weapons, there was no beam or projectile, just a ripple in space that washed over the alien ship. The effect was immediate. The Dravian warship's lights flickered, and its weapons ports, which had been glowing with charged energy, went dark. Direct hit, Mike reported with satisfaction. Their weapons are offline. Lissa looked up from her console in surprise. They're hailing us, Captain. Jack nodded. Put them through. The Dravian commander appeared on screen again, but his composed demeanor had vanished. Behind him, crew members rushed about, trying to restore their systems. What did you do to our ship? The commander demanded, all four eyes wide with shock. The same thing you did to ours, Jack replied evenly. The difference is, we're not going to leave you helpless in space. Your life support and engines are still functional. You can make it back to your territory. The Dravian stared at him in disbelief. How is this possible? Human technology can't. Perhaps you should reconsider what humans are capable of. Jack interrupted. We may be new to the stars compared to your people, but we learn quickly. He leaned forward. Remember that the next time you encounter a human vessel. Before the commander could respond, Jack nodded to Lisa to end the transmission. They're not pursuing, Tom reported, watching the sensors. Their engines are starting to power up, but they're turning around. A cheer went up from the crew. They had faced the same aliens who had nearly killed them and emerged victorious. Jack held up his hands for quiet. Don't celebrate too soon. We've made an impression on one Dravian ship, but they'll report back to their fleet. We need to be prepared for what comes next. What about our mission? Lisa asked. Do we still deliver the medical supplies to Colony Delta? Jack nodded. Absolutely. That's our job. But I think we can get there a bit faster than scheduled. He turned to Tom. Set a course for the colony. Let's see what this ship can really do. Tom grinned as he entered the coordinates. Course set, Captain. At our new top speed, we can be there in less than an hour instead of 3 days. Proceed, Jack ordered. The Persistence turned gracefully in space, its new engines glowing with blue-white energy. As they accelerated, the stars on the view screen stretched into lines of light. Inside the ship, the crew felt no acceleration, no strain. The ride was smoother than anything they had experienced before. It was as if they were standing still while the universe moved around them. It's beautiful, Lisa whispered, watching the star trails on the screen. Jack nodded in agreement. What had begun as a disaster had transformed into something none of them could have imagined. Their simple cargo ship had become something new, something powerful. And deep within the ship's systems, the ancient precursor technology continued to adapt and evolve, responding to the crew's needs and desires. The Persistence was no longer just a vessel that carried them through space. It had become something more, a partner in their journey among the stars. Colony Delta came into view on the main screen, a small settlement on a rocky planet with 2 moons. Normally, the site would have been a welcome relief after a long journey. Today, the Persistence had arrived 3 days ahead of schedule, thanks to its remarkable new capabilities. "We're being hailed," Lisa reported from her communication station. "They sound confused. They weren't expecting us yet." Jack smiled. "Put them through." The screen changed to show the weathered face of Colony Delta's administrator, a woman named Helen who had been running the outpost for over a decade. "Persistence?" she asked in disbelief. "Is that really you? Our sensors show you arriving, but you weren't due for 3 more days." "It's us," Jack confirmed. "We had some upgrades during our journey. The medical supplies are ready for delivery." Helen stared at them. "Your ship looks different. What happened out there?" Jack exchanged glances with his crew. They had agreed to be careful about revealing too much about their transformation. The power of the precursor technology could be dangerous in the wrong hands. "Let's just say we had a run-in with some unfriendly visitors that turned out better than expected," Jack said. "We'll tell you more when we land." After arranging landing coordinates, Jack ended the transmission and turned to his crew. "Before we go down there, we need to decide how much we're going to tell them about what's happened to the ship. The company will want to take the Persistence apart if they find out what it can do now," Kate said, her voice tinged with worry. "They'll try to replicate the technology without understanding it." Mike nodded in agreement, "and the military would turn it into a weapon faster than you can say court-martial." "Then what do we do?" Lisa asked. "We can't exactly hide a ship that can travel at speeds no human vessel has ever reached before." Ben, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "The precursors didn't share this technology randomly. The ship responded to us, to our specific crew, in a time of need. I don't think it's meant to be mass-produced." Jack considered this. "The ship chose us, but we still have our duty to the company, to the colonies we serve." He looked around at the faces of his crew. "What do you all want to do?" Tom was the first to respond. "I signed up to explore space, Captain. With this ship, we could see things no human has ever seen before." "I want to learn," Kate said simply. "There's so much this technology could teach us, not just about engineering, but about how the universe works." Mike shrugged. "Wherever this ship goes, it's going to need protection. I'm in." Lisa smiled. "Someone needs to tell the story. I'd like it to be us." Ben nodded his agreement. "The medical applications alone could save countless lives. I can't walk away from that potential." Jack felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "Then we're agreed. We'll deliver these supplies as promised. But after that," he looked around at the bridge of the transformed ship, "we chart our own course." The landing at Colony Delta went smoothly, more smoothly than any landing the Persistence had ever made before. The ship seemed to anticipate wind patterns and adjust automatically, settling onto the landing pad with barely a whisper. As promised, they delivered the medical supplies. Jack met with Helen and told her a carefully edited version of their encounter with the Dravians. He mentioned the attack and the crew's resourcefulness in repairing their ship, but left out the details about the precursor technology and the ship's true capabilities. "The company will want a full report," Helen said as they walked back to the ship. "They don't like surprises." Jack nodded. "They'll get one. But first, we have another delivery to make on the outer colonies. Given our new efficiency, we should complete it ahead of schedule." It wasn't exactly a lie. Jack did plan to file a report. Eventually. And they would help other colonies whenever possible. But the Persistence and its crew were now destined for something greater. That night, with the colony's lights twinkling below them, the crew gathered on the bridge to plan their next move. "I've been communicating with the ship," Kate said. "It's been showing me star maps of regions no human has ever visited. There are signs of precursor artifacts scattered across the galaxy, places where we might learn more about the technology we're carrying." "Any sign of the precursors themselves?" Ben asked. Kate shook her head. "Nothing definitive. but there are strange energy signatures that the ship can detect now, like echoes from an ancient civilization. "So what's our first destination?" Jack asked. Tom projected a star map onto the main screen. "There's a system about 500 light-years from here. According to the ship's data, it contains a structure similar to the Mars artifacts, but much larger. It would take a conventional human ship years to reach it." "And with our new engines?" Jack asked. 3 days, Tom replied with a grin. Jack looked around at his